Hi friends, welcome back. Isabel here. Today we're doing another limited palette series. I wanted to do a combo with blue and brown, partially inspired by Arlie Bean, as always, because she did one of these with blue and brown a few months ago, and I just love the combo, and I don't paint with brown a lot, so I wanted to give that a go. I also tend to only use ultramarine when I paint with blues, and I originally swatched out ultramarine with burnt sienna, and there was a lot of green in that mixture that I wasn't super happy with. So I tried out a couple of different combinations. I didn't record those swatches for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm too lazy to go back and re-swatch those. So the swatches that you saw in the beginning were Indanthrene blue, I think it's Indanthrene blue, and burnt sienna. Lately I've been enjoying painting with gray colors or desaturated mixes, so I was happy when I saw that this combo had a lot of warm and cool grays, but it didn't make those kind of gross greens. I do love painting with green, but I've discovered that when green is desaturated, it kind of looks a bit gross, and I don't enjoy it. So I chose this combo. I've had this piece kind of brewing in my head for a while now, and I just hadn't gotten around to painting it yet. I'm not really sure why that is. I think I was just scared to mess it up. Especially when there's a piece that I'm excited to paint, I often procrastinate painting it because of my need for everything to be perfect. And I'm trying hard to combat that. So for this one, I actually sketched right on the paper, which is something that I haven't been doing lately, but I found that when I do, I feel a lot freer with the process, because then I haven't spent hours trying to get a sketch to be perfect. When I sketch something and then transfer it, even though I have that backup technically, I always spend forever getting the sketch perfect, and it kind of makes the painting process feel more restrictive because I feel like I have to live up to the sketch. So while there are a lot of things with this that I'm not super happy with that probably could have been fixed by doing a sketch beforehand, I'm still pretty happy with the end result, and it was fun to paint. This was one of my first attempts at painting on hot press paper. I have a big giant piece that I am painting on hot press paper for some reason. I'm not really sure why I thought that was a good idea, but it's been taking me forever. But that's my only other experience with hot press paper. So I wanted to try out painting something a little bit smaller, because that big piece is a full watercolor sheet. There's not going to be a video for that one because it's just such a mess to actually get myself to work on it. But anyway, this was my first attempt painting with hot press paper. And also, I didn't plan out the sketch that well ahead of time. I had a composition that I knew I wanted, but I didn't sketch it on a separate piece of paper and transfer it, if that makes sense. So I just had to kind of go with the flow more. And as I realized mistakes, I would try to correct them. So you might notice right now that the forehead is really huge, and also the angle is wrong. Especially with the angle of the chin. So I promise I fix that later, and you're going to see me attempt to fix it a couple of times, and it's not going to really work that well, but I promise you it does look better in the end. But if I had sketched beforehand, I would have caught that. Anyway, we're not going to dwell on what I should have done and what I could have done. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this piece. Let me know what you guys think about it. It's definitely different but also feels kind of like me. It's kind of ironic that I'm talking about this piece not really feeling like me when I just made 2 videos in a row about art style, but it's a journey, you know? And it does feel like me. It does feel like my painting. It's just that it doesn't fit necessarily with what I've been making lately, which is more colorful portraits, but it's okay. I still like it. I've been struggling with how to merge those 2 styles of painting that I gravitate towards. And I think I'm kind of getting there, but I'm still figuring it out, which is great. I mean, that sounded so negative, but it's a journey, it's a process, and I'm excited to see where it goes. And I'm excited that you all are here with me on that journey. Okay, so it looks like I accidentally deleted the last half of this voiceover, which is super fun, and I don't really remember what I talked about. So, I'm just gonna attempt to keep chatting, and if I repeat something, apologies. I'm not really sure how this happened, but that's just the way things go sometimes. I think I remember talking about focal points, so I guess I'm going to start there. I'm happy with the general amount of rendering and contrast that I achieved. I tried really hard to make the fan stand out. It's the only majority blue thing in the painting, which I feel like is a really good way to draw the viewer's eye to that. I do wish that I had been a little more thoughtful when painting the fan, because originally I had those flower shapes in my mind as more of a loose thing, but then I ended up drawing or painting almost all of them in a direct line, and then there's just the one that's kind of sitting a little lower, and that's bugging me. So if I were to do this painting again, I would have a more definite plan for the fan. I'm also happy with how I rendered the eyes. Those were tricky because for some reason I have it in my mind that eyes look a certain way when they're looking down like that, but then I tried to draw it and it wasn't really working, and then I took a reference picture of myself and I was like, oh, that's the problem. So I did struggle with those, but I feel like they turned out pretty decently, and I like that they're the darkest part of the face, which draws your attention to them. Coming back to what I was talking about with trying to connect art styles, or my 2, I don't want to say my 2 art styles because that just sounds weird, but trying to reconcile a more realistic approach to painting with that more colorful approach. And I was thinking about this painting and why I was kind of frustrated with it. And I think it's because I painted the skin with a fairly realistic tone, but I didn't really have that many options in this painting, because if I wanted to do the skin in a more cool tone, like a blue, I feel like that would just come off weirdly, and then the burnt sienna wouldn't get used very much. So I think I kind of had to use the burnt sienna there, but it was a little disappointing. I'm still happy with the final outcome though. It just doesn't strike me as anything uniquely mine, which I think is a struggle that I'm going to have for a while. And it kind of ties into the whole imposter syndrome thing. So I don't know where I'm going to end up artistically in the next couple months, next couple of years. I'm excited to see where I end up, but I have no idea where I'm going. I just have to keep painting and figuring out what I like and what I don't like and what I want to improve. I guess I could talk about my art goals for 2020 real fast. One of my main goals is to incorporate more figures into my work, so less just straight up portraits and more bodies, and also just improving my general anatomy. I also want to focused more on color schemes and what they signify and what they mean. I got a really cool book for my birthday about color schemes, so I'm excited to try some of those out. Maybe I'll incorporate those into the whole limited palette series. I want to finish more than one sketchbook this year. I'm almost done with one sketchbook. Actually, I'm almost done with two sketchbooks. One of them is just a regular pencil paper sketchbook, and the other one is a mixed media sketchbook. I'll talk more about this when I do a sketchbook tour for whichever one I finish first, but I definitely am enjoying the mixed media way more than just straight up pencil now. So I don't think I'll gravitate towards a sketchbook that can only take pencil in the future. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any limited color palette suggestions that you want to see, as general or as specific as you'd like, let me know in the comments and I will test those out. And if you have tried a limited color palette like this, let me know how it went and did you enjoy it? Okay, I will see you next week. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.